Okay, good afternoon, Jetstars and Indigo Getters. We're going to be doing art this afternoon, and we're going to use a technique, a skill called cross-hatching to develop tone and depth. Okay, the music was actually entitled Cross Town Traffic, if you're interested. Okay, excellent. Resources that we need today would be a pencil at the very least, and that could be of a different hardness, so HB, 2B or 2H, and you find that information actually on your pencil. So this one's an HB, okay, 2H is quite hard. The one that I would recommend is 2B, and that's our black and red pencils that we use in classroom. So you'll also need either four coloured crayons or pens, and also obviously you're going to need some paper as well. So you probably need about 3 or 4 pieces of paper to learn this technique to practice on. Right, so we are looking at some images here, and I'm hoping that you recognise these from Floodland. Okay, so in our book Floodland there are small illustrations dotted around the text, and this is something I'd like you to incorporate possibly tomorrow when you do your second part to your extended write. Start to think about what illustrations you might include to accompany or to go with your text. Okay, so I'd like you to have a little go at doing some illustrations to go with your writing. All right, so we're going to have a practice today, and you can see here we've got the sign Cambridge, which is slightly submerged in the water. We've got the cathedral, so the approach to the floating island, and we've also got Zoe rowing in Leica there as well, looking from above, a bird's eye view. Right, let's move on. Here's a picture or examples of cross-hatching. You can see it's made up of lines that are parallel. It's really important. So we're going to break the lesson up. We're going to have a little practice at this technique so that we can create different kind of tones of darkness and light. Let's have a look. So there we are again. Now, one of the exercises we're going to do today, we're going to have a go at cross-hatching to draw an apple. Okay, so this is a very basic example here, and then you can develop as you get better, possibly. And you're really looking at this second picture, you can see the difference. There's a big difference here. There's a shadow that makes the apple look very much kind of like it's got weight to it, and it's more 3D. Okay, so that's what we're really looking for. And here's a final example. I thought this was a really good one, and I think I'm going to put it into my writing, that Zoe finds an apple that has just had a bite out of it, and it is just starting to turn brown where it's been bitten. That means it's only just happened. So I think that would be a cool illustration to include. Okay, so there are some examples. We're going to have a practice first to learn the technique, how we actually do it. Okay, so we're going to do the basics first. Okay, and for this you're going to need a piece of paper. I'd possibly work landscape, but the video will show you what to do. You're also going to need your coloured crayons, so we're going to be drawing lines that are at diagonals. Okay, so about 45 degrees and in the opposite direction. We're also going to be looking at drawing parallel lines that are vertical and horizontal as well. So let's watch the clip. Obviously you can stop it when you like. And let's try and start it. Fantastic. Okay, grab a pencil, piece of paper. They're saying use a pen, but I would recommend a pencil to begin with. Okay.
I'm here to show you how we can take a very logical, structured approach to crosshatching, and I'm sure you beginners new to crosshatching are going to appreciate this. We're going to start off with certain angles, and each time I introduce a new angle, I'll show the angle, I'll record that angle down below here. I've already set up a couple of rectangles, and this is just, again, we're sticking with a real structured approach here. So when we're learning how to crosshatch, you're going to want to set up some zones, and that's what I'm referring to, zone 1, 2, 3, and zone 4. So the first angle we're going to use is going to be a go corner to corner across two zones. So if you set your zones up correctly, this should be approximately a square, and that way this ends up turning into a 45-degree line. So now we can continue along. It'll look a little funny in color, but this is mainly a beginner lesson, so it's the learning we're after, not exactly the look. Okay, and I'm going to leave that red in place. And we're going to continue along. If you had a really long distance to go, you could take these original angles and you could put a few ahead so that you make sure you're lining up. Remember, crosshatching is all about keeping lines parallel and then overlapping other parallel sets of lines. That's what's going to make it look like areas are lighter and darker. So now we're going to switch the angle, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the reverse 45-degree angle. So if we want to set up a mark, we can go like that. And what I was referring to earlier is, if you want, you can go ahead and set up more lines as guides. Now we're going to backtrack these lines. Just like that.
So don't go into your first box. That's really important at that point. Do the following 3 boxes. Don't go into the first box.
Okay, so we've taken care of the first set of lines, the second set of lines, and notice how anything we do in this box gets carried all the way to the end. You don't want to do one zone at a time and bounce around. You want to keep each line fluid. The fluidity is very important. Now we're going to choose a vertical line. So we're going to end up starting right in the 3rd zone. So far we've used 1 set of lines, 2 sets of lines, 3 sets of lines. Now since we had originally set this up with 4 zones, our scale here, our crosshatching, is going to max out with 4 sets of lines. So, let's see here, green. We'll use green to mark the horizontal, and we will continue with our horizontal lines in zone 4. If you wanted a smoother transition, you would involve more zones and more angles, and then the transition would be even smoother. But that should get you started in practicing basic crosshatching techniques.
Okay, good. I was seeing that as we were going along, so that's my example. Now you might want to have more than one attempt at doing that. Have a practice. You could do it on different sizes as well. Okay, so really good advice there. Using those guidelines and the zones to practice on. Okay, so you can see it starts off with a lighter space, and then it gradually gets darker as you go along. So let's have a look. We'll move on, but like I say, you can stop or rewind that video and have another go. Okay, so that was the basics. Hopefully we're going to get better. I can hear that Ordell is actually putting his artist's beret on as we speak, so he's going to grab himself a piece of paper. This time we're going to draw an apple. Now if you have got an apple at home, again you can use that as practice and look at your apple. It might have different areas of darkness on it, so let's have a go and see how we can create a curve in our drawing. This is going to create depth, so a 3D quality. Okay, so let's have a look at this clip.
Hello everybody, are you ready to create? Do you have your paper and your pencil? Today we're going to create a cross-hatching still life. First, for your 5-minute drawing exercise before you get started, you need to practice some cross-hatching.
So you can do that.
Is very simple. It's just parallel lines in one way and then at another angle on top of it. By making them really close together, you can create tone by making it darker or lighter. And you can create volume by curving your lines in the direction of the object you're trying to show, which is a little sketch here. Now you're ready to draw your apple. Have a look at an apple, either real or a photograph, and really start with a really faint outline. Once you've done that, you can start your cross-hatching. You can start from anywhere that you prefer. I've started with the stalk detail, and then very slowly build up tone using parallel lines. So I'm just looking at areas of shadows and trying to build up some tone there by creating parallel lines, so that's hatching. And I'm making sure they are hugging the apple, so that the lines are curving around with the apple. That's going to help me create some nice volume. And also, I need to create a shadow. That's really important because you don't want your apple to be like floating in the air. You want it to be anchored on the page, and the shadow is going to help doing that. Now I'm starting cross-hatching, so I'm creating parallel lines at an angle from the ones I've done previously. Sorry for the shaking. So I'm doing the cross-hatching there to build up some tone and volume. I'm just doing it where I see clear shadows at the moment, the really strong shadows, and just building it slowly. You should take your time doing this because it just slowly builds up until you have your apple comes to life almost. There we have our apple. If you feel up to it, you could do several apples and keep practicing. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now that was a speeded up version. So I got to about this far. I don't know if you can see that on your screen. So I would definitely go back, maybe watch it again, and then just take a little bit more time whilst you're creating your apple. So we've learnt about cross-hatching and using those parallel lines. That's really important, and the closer you get them together, the darker it's going to be. Okay, the further apart, you're going to create more light. Now, I think this is a lesson that Mrs. Hayward would absolutely love being involved in today. I'm not sure who's in the bubble. I think it might be, who is it today? Mrs. R. I think it's Mrs. R. Okay, so good luck with your drawing today. Once you've done your apple, again, start to think about some illustrations that you might want to include in your narrative text. Okay, so here are some ideas. What things could you draw that are connected to your text? So I had a little think about mine. Well, there's the obvious one, which is a cathedral. So you could do your cathedral. This one's from a very interesting angle. You can see how they've created the light patches and how they've also got their darker patches or areas here where the cross hatching is closer together. Okay, the compass. So this is an example of someone who has cross hatched a compass, which looks quite complicated but not impossible. So have a go. The final one that I thought would be quite good in my story as an illustration would be of the herring gulls. So I might have a go at trying to do a bird. So you might do a fox or something like that. It's entirely up to you guys. So really enjoy your art lesson. Always a firm favourite of mine. Good luck, and send in some of your photos as well, because they look great on our pin board. Okay, have a cool session and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.